Elora had always believed that birthdays were a time for joy and fresh beginnings. As a 19-year-old university student in Nigeria, she embraced every chance to celebrate life. Yet, no one could have predicted that the seemingly innocent joy of her birthday set in motion events that would forever change her life. It was an unusually warm afternoon when Elora, along with her closest friends, decided to hit the bustling market near the university campus. The market was alive with vibrant colors, energetic chatter, and the aroma of street food mingling with the humid air. For Elora, this day was extra special. It was her birthday. The excitement of celebration pulsed through her veins as she anticipated a day filled with laughter and surprises. Wandering through the maze of stalls, Elora's eyes caught sight of a beautiful teddy bear in the window of a small, unassuming shop. The bear was unlike any she had seen before. It had soft, richly textured fur, an almost lifelike glint in its bottom eyes, and a mysterious aura that hinted at secrets hidden beneath its cuddly exterior. Despite her friends' playful teasing about childish whims, Elora felt drawn to it. With an inexplicable sense of longing, she insisted her boyfriend Chike purchase the bear for her birthday. Chike was a thoughtful young man who loved Elora dearly, but he hesitated. "Elora, are you sure? It's just a toy," he said with gentle concern, glancing at her friend Ada, who shared his apprehension. Ada, always pragmatic, added, "But perhaps it's best not to spend money on something so trivial, especially when you have so many other things to focus on." Their reluctance, however, was quickly drawn out by Elora's insistence and the allure of the mysterious teddy bear. Eventually, Chike relented. With the purchase made, the bear was wrapped in a simple paper, its charm intact as he was carried home. Elora was ecstatic, her smile radiant as she cradled the gift. Little did she know that this innocent token of affection was about to become the catalyst for a series of events that would plunge her world into darkness. For the first few days, the bear sat on Elora's bed, a silent guardian of her private world. Its presence was comforting at first, a symbol of love and a reminder of that special day. But as twilight crept in each night, strange happenings began to unfold. Elora started to notice that shadows seemed to move of their own accord, and a low hum filled the silence of her dorm room, a sound that was almost like a whispered secret. One evening, as the clock struck midnight and the campus grew eerily quiet, Elora woke up with a start. The room was bathed in darkness, and a heavy silence hung in the air. As she tried to shake off the remnants of a disturbing dream, she suddenly felt an unmistakable presence near her. Her heart pounded as she sensed, rather than saw, a figure looming near her bed. The air grew thick, and a cold shiver ran down her spine. When she mustered the courage to open her eyes, she glimpsed something impossible. A large, hulking figure with matted fur and wide, unblinking eyes standing over her. In that surreal moment, the figure exuded a feral mix of protectiveness and menace. Over the following weeks, more horrifying events began to plague the campus. It started subtly. A lecturer known for making unwelcome advances towards his female students was found dead in his office the next morning. His body was so grossly dismembered that the scene defied natural explanation. Rumors spread among the students, each more chilling than the last, suggesting that some vengeful force was at work, a force that seemed to be linked to Elora. It wasn't long before whispers of the cursed teddy bear reached the ears of Elora's family. Deeply troubled by the mounting series of tragedies, Elora's wealthy parents sought the counsel of a renowned seer, known throughout the region for his insight into the spiritual realm. The seer, a giant man with eyes that seemed to peer into another dimension, listened intently as they recounted the strange occurrences surrounding their daughter. After a long, tense silence, he spoke in a hushed tone. This teddy bear is no ordinary toy. It carries with it the dark and tormented spirit of a man named Eddie, a serial kidnapper, a killer who was imprisoned and later executed for his unspeakable crimes. His soul was never at rest, condemned to wander into the limbo between life and death. When his essence found a vessel in the bear, his malevolent nature took hold. And now, it seems his spirit has become inexplicably attached to your daughter. Elora's parents were both horrified and desperate for a solution. The seer continued, Eddie's spirit is now in love with Elora, an obsessive, twisted affection that binds him to her. I must advise you, return the teddy bear to the very mall where it was purchased. Only then might the curse be broken. However, Elora's parents were divided by fear and uncertainty. Could it truly be that a piece of merchandise, a cuddly toy, was not the harbinger of doom? Despite the seer's ominous warning, debate erupted among the university staff and even some students. A heated discussion in the administrative offices suggested that the bear be destroyed to prevent further tragedies. However, a few voices warned that such an act might provoke the spirit further. Chike, who had always been supportive of Elora, found himself caught in the middle of the moral and supernatural debate. He began to notice that the bear seemed to move ever so slightly when no one was looking, its eyes glinting with a sinister light. One night, while he stayed over in Elora's room, he awoke to find the bear sitting upright on the floor, as if watching him. Paralyzed by fear, Chike could only stare as the room filled with a palpable sense of dread. Then came the night of the assault. Elora began experiencing disturbing dreams that merged the boundaries of sleep and wakefulness. In her dreams, she was visited by an amorphous man who claimed to be her lover, an encounter both passionate and deeply disturbing. When she awoke, she was covered in fluids, and the inexplicable sense of having been touched by another presence left her horrified. The intimacy should have been comforting, now felt like an invasion, a dark violation orchestrated by an unseen force. Unable to bear the mounting terror, Elora confided in Chike about her nightmares. He listened with a heavy heart, torn between disbelief and the rising evidence of something supernatural. Together, they resolved to seek help beyond the mortal realm. With the seer's words echoing in their minds, Elora's parents arranged for a respected pastor to visit the campus. The pastor, a kind yet determined man known for his spiritual fervor, came with a small group of prayer members, hoping that their faith could dispel the darkness that had taken root. In a small candlelit chapel on campus, the group gathered around Elora and they caused steady. The pastor began his prayers with steadfast conviction, invoking holy scriptures and calling upon divine protection. For a time, it seemed as though the power of faith was making a difference. But as the night deepened, a violent gust of wind swept through the chapel, snuffing out candles and plunging the room into chaos. In a matter of moments, the unholy force manifested with terrifying clarity. The bear transformed into a mysterious figure, its fur bristling, its eyes burning with malice. Before anyone could react, the pastor, along with the entire household who had come to support him, was brutally slaughtered. Their bodies lay scattered, a gruesome testament to the force of the evil that had been unleashed. The campus was plunged into mourning and terror. The death of a beloved spiritual leader shook the community to its core. Rumors swirled like a contagion. The cursed bear was responsible for those unspeakable acts of violence. The authorities were baffled, and university administrations were paralyzed with indecision. Was there any way to exorcise the malevolent presence that had taken root? Elora, now isolated by fear and the increasing violence around her, began to withdraw herself. She spent her days in a state of constant anxiety, the weight of the curse pressing upon her like a living nightmare. Classmates avoided her, whispering that she was the cause of the horror that had befallen them all. Even Chike, once her pillar of support, was tormented by nightmares and guilt, having brought these cursed objects into their lives. The once bustling corridors of the Nigerian university now echoed with the sound of sorrow and dread. Students were no longer safe in night classes or the clubs that had once been center for youthful exuberance. The campus, which had once been a beacon of hope and education, had become a breeding ground for terror and despair. Every shadow seemed to harbor a hidden threat. Every darkened alley, a potential ambush by the spirit of Eddie. Amidst the darkness, a second pastor was summoned, a man reputed to possess a deeper understanding of the spiritual world and a power that transcended conventional exorcism. Pastor Emeka was a seasoned man of faith, known for his unwavering resolve and profound spiritual insight. Unlike his predecessor, Pastor Emeka had weathered countless spiritual battles and had a reputation for confronting malevolent forces head-on. Pastor Emeka arrived at the university with a small contingent of his most trusted prayer warriors. Their presence brought a tentative hope to the community, a promise that the curse could be confronted and perhaps vanquished. Elora, along with her distraught parents and a small group of supporters, gathered in a solemn meeting held in the university's chapel, a building that now felt more like a fortress against the encroaching darkness. As the meeting commenced, Pastor Emeka spoke with a measured intensity that resonated with everyone present. "We are facing a force that is beyond human comprehension," he warned. "The spirit of Eddie, consumed by a lifetime of sin and cruelty, has found a vessel in that teddy bear. His obsession with Elora is both a curse and a twisted form of love, a love that is destructive and unyielding." He explained that the key to breaking the curse lay not merely in the power of prayer, but in a combined effort of faith, understanding, and a willingness to confront one's inner demons. We must remember, he continued, that every act of darkness is met with a spark of light. The bear represents not just evil, but the consequences of our own vulnerabilities and the importance of making righteous choices. In the hours that followed, Pastor Emeka and his team conducted a series of intense rituals, invoking the name of divine beings and reciting sacred texts. The chapel was filled with fervent prayers, the sound of incantations rising above the distant walls of terror that still echoed through the campus. At the climax of the ritual, as the congregation reached the peak of their collective invocation, an otherworldly light enveloped the cursed teddy bear. For a fleeting moment, it seemed as though the oppressive darkness might lift. The bear trembled violently, its form blurring as if caught between two realms, and then with a final agonizing shriek that reverberated off the chapel's wall, the spirit was cast out. Pastor Emeka's team, united in their faith, directed the exorcism with a precision born of years of spiritual warfare. The bear was engulfed in flames, fiery tongues licking at its surface, until nothing remained but ash and the lingering scent of charred fall. In the days that followed, the campus slowly began to recover from the reign of terror, the horror of the cursed teddy bear, and the devastating act committed to its name left an indelible scare on the community. Yet, amidst the grief and loss, there emerged a sense of resilience, a determination to learn from the tragedy and rebuild a safer, more compassionate environment. Elora, though deeply traumatized by the ordeal, began a slow journey of healing. She attended counseling sessions, both spiritual and psychological, determined to reclaim her life from the grip of fear. In therapy, she learned that the real curse was not merely the presence of an evil spirit, but the isolation and vulnerability that allowed it to take root. The experience taught her that strength often comes from acknowledging one's own fragility and seeking help in times of darkness. The university too took steps to address the events that had shaken its foundation. A series of seminars and workshops were organized, focusing on mental health, spiritual awareness, and the importance of community support. Chike, burdened with guilt for his role in acquiring the cursed bear, dedicated himself to supporting Elora. Their relationship, though tested by the extremes of fear and loss, emerged stronger. They came to understand that love, in its purest form, requires sacrifice, understanding, and the courage to face even the most harrowing of realities. Their shared experience became a testament to the power of forgiveness and the importance of never taking the safety of one's loved ones for granted. Months passed, and the memory of the cursed teddy bear began to recede into the background of campus life, replaced by a renewed focus on education, community, and personal growth. The story of the terror that had once gripped the university that etched into local folklore, a cautionary tale about the danger of ignoring warnings, signs, and the importance of heeding both spiritual wisdom and rational thoughts. Elora eventually found a measure of peace with the support of her family, friends, and the dedicated professionals who helped her navigate the aftermath. The cursed teddy bear, now reduced to nothing more than a memory and a pile of ashes, became a symbol of the peril of unchecked materialism and the importance of spiritual vigilance. Its story served as a stark reminder that evil can hide in the most innocuous form, and that the battle against darkness is fought not only with prayers and exorcism, but with the everyday choices we make and care for one another.